Hello Story Storer listeners, before we start this interesting story, please subscribe this channel, Story Storer, and hit the bell icon. Thank you. Now here we go. Guys stood on the porch, the familiar creak of the wooden boards under my feet, a sound I'd known for 38 years, now foreign under the weight of a new reality. The taxi's taillights faded down the street, leaving me with my suitcase and a cane that felt more like a prop than a necessity. My hand trembled as I reached for the key, the one I'd used countless times to unlock the life I'd built. But the lock didn't yield. I tried again, twisting harder, as if sheer will could force the metal to remember me. Then I saw it, gleaming silver padlock, cold and new, mocking me. My name, once etched on the mailbox in proud, faded letters, was gone, replaced by a plastic sticker, M&T Larson in Tara's curling script. A voice sliced through the chill air, sweet but edged, like honey dripped over a blade. "Margaret, you're back early." I turned to find Tara, my daughter-in-law, barely 30, standing there in athleisure, her hair swept into a flawless bun. She radiated confidence, her smile too perfect, like she'd rehearsed it for an audience that wasn't me. "Discharged early," I said, my voice rusty, unfamiliar. "Where's Michael?" Tara folded her arms, unfazed. "At work, we didn't expect you yet." My suitcase sat heavy beside my cane, as if it too knew it didn't belong. I gripped the cane tighter. "My key doesn't work." "Oh," she said, her tone light, dismissive. "We changed the locks." "Legal stuff. Legal stuff," I echoed, my chest tightening. She didn't flinch. "Michael transferred the property to our names. For your benefit, Margaret. Taxes, you know, to simplify things." My knees buckled slightly, and I steadied myself against the porch rail. "I never agreed to that." Tara sighed, theatrical, her eyes flicking to the street where a neighbor's curtain twitched. "It was handled while you were recovering. You signed the papers, remember? Power of attorney. You were still foggy from the stroke. It's done. Now." "I'm not confused," I said, louder than I meant, my voice shaking. "That's my house." She tilted her head, her smile syrupy. "You're emotional, Margaret. Maybe you should go back to the care center. They said you'd be there another week. I left early. They cleared me. I live here." My words felt hollow, like they were dissolving into the cold air. "Michael and I live here now," she said, her voice dropping to a cool edge. "You should go. This isn't a good look, causing a scene. I'll call you a ride." My jaw locked, words trapped behind clenched teeth. She turned, stepped inside, and shut the door with a soft click, leaving me on the porch. I stood there for 27 minutes, my fingers numbing around the cane, neighbors' whispers prickling my skin. The weight in my chest, grief, betrayal, humiliation, heavier than the suitcase at my feet. This wasn't the end, I told myself, though it felt like one. 6 weeks earlier, I'd woken in a sterile hospital room, a dull throb pulsing behind my left eye. A nurse's voice, gentle but urgent, pulled me from the haze. "Margaret, you've had a minor stroke. You're okay now, in the hospital." The room swam, edges blurred like a watercolor left in the rain. My thoughts moved slowly, as if wading through mud. My words came out wrong, slurred, incomplete. Michael arrived within the hour, his face tight with worry. Tara followed, clutching a bouquet of daisies and her phone, snapping a photo like it was a social media moment. "Oh, Mom," she said, her hand cool on my arm. "You gave us a scare." The doctor reassured us it was minor, a lucky break. Michael crouched by my bed, his voice low. "You'll need recovery time. The house isn't ideal right now. Stairs, clutter, stress." I blinked, still piecing together the world. "I can recover at home." Tara jumped in, her voice bright. "We found a lovely care center, just 15 minutes away. Quiet, Full staff, therapy, your own room, temporary of course, until you're steady. We'll handle everything at home, Michael added. Bills, groceries, mail. We'll visit every day. Their words were warm, polished, dripping with care. In my fog, I believed them. They were my family. I wanted to believe I wasn't a burden. So I nodded, and within 2 days, I was at Cedar Haven, a beige-walled facility with soft lighting and the faint smell of antiseptic. My room had a narrow bed, a tray table, and a framed quote. Healing is a process, not a place. I clung to those words, telling myself this was temporary. That Michael and Tara had my back. They visited twice that first week. Michael brought crossword books and a charger. Tara came with herbal tea and a little notebook to track your meds. I cried when they left, telling the nurse, "I'm so lucky. My son and his wife are taking such good care of me." The nurse smiled, but her eyes held something pity maybe, or a warning I didn't yet understand. The first 2 weeks, they called daily. Tara's voice was bright, sing-song. "Hi, Mom." She'd chatter about organizing the garage, painting the den a soothing sage. Michael fixing the creaky porch step I'd nagged about for years. Sometimes she'd send a video Michael hammering, laughing, saying it was therapeutic. Michael would add, "Love you, Mom. You sound stronger already." Their voices anchored me. The beige walls, the soft shuffle of nurses' shoes, the loneliness of Cedar Haven. It was bearable because I pictured my house alive with their care. My roses watered, my mail sorted. Then the calls stopped. At first, I wasn't worried. They're busy, I told myself. Maybe they're planning something, a welcome home surprise, new curtains, a cleaned attic. But days stretched into a week, then 2. I left a voicemail. "Hi, sweetheart, just checking in. Hope the house is okay. Miss you, nothing." I texted. "Let me know when you're free to talk. Love to hear about the house." Silence. I asked a nurse to check my phone. Maybe I'd blocked them by mistake. She shook her head. "No issues, Miss Margaret. Maybe they're just distracted." That word, distracted, settled like a stone in my gut. I played bingo, stared at the muted TV, tried to read the novels Tara brought. But the photo by my bed, a snapshot of Michael grilling at our last 4th of July, made the silence heavier. My home, my family, they were just distracted. I was watching squirrels dart across a cedar tree when Nurse Ellen tapped my door, holding a tablet. "Margaret, you on Facebook much?" "Sometimes," I said, curious. "Why?" She hesitated, then sat beside me. "I follow some home decor groups, and look who popped up." She turned the screen. There was Tara, posed like a model, smiling in my kitchen. The caption read, "First look at our home refresh. Modern meets timeless. Can't wait to share the full reveal. Hashtag home goals. Hashtag new chapter. Hashtag blessed." My breath caught. The cabinets behind her mint green, painted with my own hands, were now a sleek white. My grandmother's ceramic hen salt shakers sat on a new marble countertop, like props in her show. The linoleum I'd chosen was gone, replaced by glossy hardwood. My lace curtains were swapped for minimalist blinds. "When was this posted?" I asked, voice barely audible. "Yesterday," Ellen said softly. I zoomed in, every detail a wound. My lemon-patterned dish towel gone. The magnet from my Sedona trip vanished. My kitchen erased. "That's my kitchen," I whispered, more to myself than to Ellen. She sat quietly as the truth sank in. This wasn't a refresh. It was a takeover. They hadn't been distracted. They'd been dismantling my life while I sat in a beige room. Counting the days, I called Michael 3 times that night. No answer. His voicemail, flat, impersonal, mocked me. The first time, I hung up, too stunned to speak. The second, I managed, "Hey, sweetheart." Saw Tara's post. Looks like the house is different. When can I come home? The 3rd. My voice cracked. Michael, I don't understand. That's my kitchen. My home. I'm stronger now. I want to come home. Please call me. Nothing. I lay awake, the hum of the heater and the creak of pipes my only company. Had I signed something I didn't understand? Had they slipped a form into the medical papers while I was groggy? I remembered Tara by my bedside, clipboard in hand, saying, "Just routine stuff, so we can handle your insurance." Had I handed them my life? My roommate, Clara, 73, and recovering from a fractured pelvis, didn't mince words. Overputting one afternoon, she said, "Families show their colors when papers are involved." "What do you mean?" I asked, stirring my untouched tea. She shrugged. Friend of mine went into rehab for a hip, came out. Her son had sold her condo, said it was too much for her, moved her to a senior home, even took her cat, smiled the whole time, said it was for her safety. I stared at the steam curling from my cup. I think Michael and Tara are making decisions without me. Clara snorted. Welcome to the club. We're invisible unless we're footing the bill. I wanted to argue Michael. Wasn't like that. I'd raised him better, but the words wouldn't come. Clara's voice softened. If your gut says something's wrong, don't ignore it. Check the paperwork. And don't trust anyone who smiles too big while handing you a pen. That night, I lay awake. Clara's snores a steady rhythm behind me. Had I been fooled? How much of my life was still mine? The next morning, I called my bank. A simple check, I told myself, to feel in control. The clerk's voice was polite but firm. "I'm sorry, Miss Hartley. You're no longer the primary account holder. A representative was assigned 5 weeks ago." My heart stopped. Who? Another pause. Tara Larson. "She's my daughter-in-law," I said, as if that explained anything. "Unless you come in with ID and legal paperwork revoking her authority, I can't grant access," the clerk said. "She presented a power of attorney, signed during your hospitalization." I hung up, my hands cold. Tara's smile, her clipboard, her just for insurance light wasn't just the house. They'd taken my money. I left Cedar Haven 2 days early, without telling them. Ellen called me. A cab, and the ride home felt like crossing a battle line. Every familiar street, the oak I'd planted. The mailbox where I'd left Christmas cookies for the carrier felt like a memory stolen. The cab stopped, and I stepped out, cane in hand, suitcase dragging behind. The new lock glinted. My name was gone from the mailbox. I was still fumbling with my useless key when Tara opened the door, a latte in hand, her expression mildly irritated. "Margaret, I didn't know you were coming. Why's the lock changed?" I asked, my voice sharp. She smiled, unfazed. "Security. There've been break-ins." "That's my house," I said, heart pounding. "Actually, it's not." She held up a folder, tapping it lightly. "You signed the transfer papers. For taxes." Michael explained it. "I signed a power of attorney for medical forms," I said, shaking my head. She laughed, a soft, pitying sound. "That was part of it. You gave us authority for other matters. You were foggy from the stroke. It's all legal. I never agreed to this." "You did?" she said, sipping her coffee. "You just didn't realize I demanded to speak." "To Michael. He's at work," she said. "This has been hard on him, settling in. You being here, it complicates things." I glanced past her. My living room, my armchair, my family photos, they were there, but the air felt wrong, like something had curdled. Tara stepped outside, pulling the door half closed. "There's a nice assisted living place Michael found. Affordable, your own room, no stress." "I'm not incapable," I said, gripping my cane. "I know it's hard," she said, her voice dripping with false empathy. But we had to think of the future. You're not up to managing anymore. No one came to fix it. No one apologized. Tara closed the door, and I stood there, a stranger on my own porch. I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I sat at the bus stop down the street, the cane heavy in my hands, the sky graying as the sun sank. Eventually, I called Ruth, a friend I hadn't spoken to in months. "Margaret, are you okay?" she asked, her voice warm. "I need a place to stay," I whispered. "I'll put the kettle on," she said, no questions asked. At Ruth's over tea with too much sugar, I told her everything: the care center, the bank, the locks, Tara's smirk. Her face hardened. "You need to fight this. They can't just take your life." "I signed something," I admitted. "Power of attorney. Michael said it was for medical stuff." Ruth leaned back. "Did you read it?" I trusted him. She was quiet, then said, "That's the worst part, isn't it? Not the house. Not the papers, the fact it was him." I nodded, my throat tight. "You're not helpless," she said. "You've got your mind, your fight, and me." The next morning, Ruth handed me a flyer. Senior rights advocates, specializing in elder financial abuse. "They helped my aunt," she said. "Her daughter tried to sell her farm. They stopped it in days." I called the number. The receptionist listened as I recounted everything, pausing when I mentioned the power of attorney. "Do you have a copy?" she asked. "No," I said. "Tara had it. I was recovering." "That's helpful," she said. "If you signed under impairment without independent counsel, we can challenge it. We'll need evidence texts, emails, medical records." That night, Ruth and I dug through my email on her laptop. I found Tara's texts. "Don't worry, we've got everything handled." Michael's message: "Just sign what Tara gives." It's routine. Every word now felt like a trap. I gathered receipts from Cedar Haven, noted dates of missed meds, foggy days. Ruth organized it all in a binder, color-coded, relentless. "You're not a victim," she said. "You're their reckoning." 2 days later, I held the power of attorney document, obtained through the advocacy group. My shaky signature stared back at me, buried in legal jargon granting financial and property management with no expiration, no oversight. Michael had signed as witness. I remembered that day, meds clouding my mind, Tara's soothing voice, Michael holding my hand. They'd planned it. The lawyer, Susan, read the document, her jaw tight. This was drafted to look innocent, but they used it like a sledgehammer. "We can revoke it and freeze the property." I felt a spark of hope. "You're sure?" "Absolutely," she said. "We'll file for injunctive relief. They can't touch the house." While Tara posted photos of my dining room, captioned #NewBeginnings, I was in Susan's office, signing affidavits, while Michael toasted friends on my patio. I was gathering bank statements, voicemails, proof of their betrayal. They thought I'd stay silent. They were wrong. The sheriff's deputy stood beside me on the porch, a court order in hand. Tara opened the door, her smile fading when she saw his badge. "What is this?" she snapped. The deputy's voice was, "Come. This property is under a legal freeze pending an elder exploitation investigation." Michael appeared, a half-eaten pear in hand, his face pale. I stepped forward. "Hello, Tara," I said. "The court says this is still my house. You signed the papers." She shrieked. "The court will decide if that was legal," I said. "You can't sell or change anything now." Michael said nothing, just stared at the order. Tara's voice cracked. "You vindictive enough," the deputy cut in. "You've been served." Tara slammed the door. I walked away, my cane tapping the concrete. Each step a declaration. I wasn't erased in the courtroom. I sat tall in a navy dress Ruth had chosen. Tara and Michael's lawyer argued my stroke had left me unfit, but their actions were for my benefit. Susan countered with medical records, my voicemails, Tara's posts. She played my deposition. I wasn't confused. I trusted them. I thought they loved me. The judge asked if I had anything to say. I stood. I gave Michael everything, my time, my home. I worked for decades to keep it. I never meant to give it away. I thought he'd protect me. Instead, they discarded me. The gavel fell. The power of attorney was nullified. The deed reverted to me. Tara gasped, muttering. Michael walked out, silent. I'd won, but the victory was hollow. There's no joy in learning you were disposable to your own child. The locksmith finished. By noon, I stood inside my house, the air heavy with new paint and loss. Tara and Michael banged on the door. You changed the locks. Tara yelled. I opened the door, but didn't step aside. Yes, I said. This is my home. For 20,000 words, I'd expand this narrative with deeper emotional layers, detailed flashbacks of Margaret's life in the house, planting roses, raising Michael, small moments of joy and struggle. I'd flesh out her recovery at Cedar Haven, her growing bond with Clara, and Ruth's fierce support. The legal battle would unfold with more tension, including depositions, confrontations with Tara's smug deflections, and Michael's conflicted silence. Margaret's internal journey, grief to rage to resolve, would anchor the story, with vivid descriptions of the house as a symbol of her identity. The final scenes would explore her reclaiming not just the house, but her sense of self, with quiet moments of reflection on trust and resilience. Question for the audience: what did you think of Margaret's journey to reclaim her home and identity? How did it make you feel about trust and family? And where are you watching this story from today? Call to action: if Margaret's story moved you, please subscribe to Story Store for more heartfelt tales. Like, share, and join our community too. Never miss a story that matters.